can't even begin to describe the sheer horror that I experienced. It was a cold and quiet night, just like any other. I had settled into my bed, exhausted after a long day, and drifted into sleep. Little did I know that the realm of sleep would soon transform into an inescapable nightmare. I remember suddenly waking up, or at least I thought I did. My room was cloaked in darkness, and an overwhelming sense of dread hung in the air like a heavy fog. I tried to move, to lift my arms or even twitch a finger, but nothing responded. Panic began to claw at my throat as I realized I was utterly paralyzed. My heart raced as I struggled against my own body, attempting to break free from this invisible straitjacket that held me captive. But then I saw something out of the corner of my eye. A shadow, shapeless and sinister, slithered across the walls, casting an eerie dance of darkness. It was as if the very essence of fear had taken form and was looming over me. And then the whispers began. Hushed, malevolent voices that seemed to emerge from the depths of my mind, taunting me, mocking my helplessness. I strained to make out the words, but they were distorted, inhuman. It was like a chorus of demons rejoicing in my vulnerability. As if that weren't enough, a weight settled on my chest, suffocating me. I could feel its cold, bony fingers digging into my skin, as if some unseen creature was perched on top of me, draining the very life out of me. The air grew dense and suffocating, and I struggled to breathe. But the worst was yet to come. Out of the abyss, a figure emerged at the foot of my bed. It was a grotesque, twisted version of myself, contorted into a sinister grin. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, fixated on me with an intensity that pierced through my soul. It spoke, its voice a guttural, unnatural sound that resonated within my mind. "You can't escape, you're mine." Tears welled up in my eyes as I tried to scream, to beg for release from this waking nightmare. But my voice was stolen, and only a feeble rasp escaped my lips. I was trapped, caught between the realms of sleep and wakefulness, a helpless observer to the horrors that unfolded around me. Time lost all meaning as the torment continued. The room seemed to twist and warp, and the walls closed in on me, pressing me into a suffocating darkness. The figure drew closer, its grotesque features contorting with sadistic pleasure. Its fingers brushed against my cheek, ice cold and paralyzing, and I felt an agonizing surge of terror coursing through my veins. And then, with a jolt, I snapped awake. Gasping for air, drenched in sweat, I found myself in my familiar room, bathed in the soft glow of dawn's light. It took me a moment to realize that I was free from the grip of that nightmarish episode. But the terror remained, etched into my memory like a scar. I can't shake the feeling that it's waiting, lurking in the shadows of my mind, ready to pounce again when I least expect it. Sleep paralysis, they call it. But what I experienced was beyond any mere medical explanation. I still shudder every time I recall that night. The night when sleep turned into an unspeakable ordeal. It was an ordinary evening, just like any other. I crawled into bed, weary from the day's activities, and closed my eyes with the hope of drifting into a peaceful slumber. Little did I know, I was about to be plunged into a living nightmare. I remember becoming aware, but not fully awake. I was trapped in my own body, unable to move a muscle. Panic surged through me as I realized I was experiencing sleep paralysis. I strained to call out for help, but my voice was silenced, and my limbs felt as if they were encased in concrete. The room was dimly lit by a faint streetlight filtering through the curtains. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and contorting into unsettling shapes. The air felt heavy, charged with an indescribable dread that hung like a shroud. I could sense a presence in the room, something malevolent lurking just beyond my field of vision. And then I heard it. A whisper, soft and insidious. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. The words were unintelligible, like a language born from nightmares. I strained to make sense of it, but the more I listened, the more my heart pounded in terror. As I lay there, immobile, I felt an oppressive weight press down on my chest, making it difficult to breathe. It was as if an invisible force was trying to crush the very life out of me. I gasped for air, my heart racing, while the shadows seemed to grow darker and more menacing. But what chilled me to the core was the sensation of being watched. From the corner of my eye, I glimpsed a figure standing at the foot of my bed. It was a silhouette, featureless and unsettling. Its presence exuded an aura of malevolence that seemed to seep into my very soul. I tried to focus on moving a finger, a toe, anything to break free from this nightmarish paralysis. But my efforts were futile, and I remained imprisoned within my own body, at the mercy of whatever dark forces had taken hold of me. Time lost its meaning as the ordeal continued. It felt like hours of torment, an eternity of fear and helplessness. And then, as suddenly as it began, I was released from the grip of sleep paralysis. My body was my own once again, and I shot up in bed, drenched in sweat and trembling. I switched on the light, searching every corner of the room for any sign of the presence that had haunted me. But there was nothing, just the familiar surroundings of my bedroom, now bathed in a harsh, almost reassuring light. It was as if the terror had dissipated with the darkness. I spent the rest of the night on edge, unable to shake the feeling that something malevolent still lingered nearby. Sleep was out of the question. I was too afraid of what might happen if I closed my eyes again.